Previously on Dances with Dice, when last we left our heroes, Felix, the human bard, Finian, the halfling artificer, and Theo, the satyr fighter. A day of shopping in the big city of Marishane is now concluded. They return to the hidden section of the library to delve deep into new, dark, and possibly dangerous information. As new dangers lurk around every corner, what awaits our heroes this week on Dances with Dice.
All right. So, you guys have arrived back at the Royal Arcanum. The Zervis kind of gestures for you guys to follow. He leads you up through the main library area that you guys had found yourselves in originally. Leads you up a very grand staircase, at the top of which is beset like a model, almost of like a solar system, but it's like instead of a solar system model, it's a model of like the planet itself, and the continents, instead of the planet rotating to signify the passage of time, you see the continents all rotating about as well. A very beautiful, beautiful piece. You head up these stairs, and there is a set of double doors at the top of this stairwell. The double doors themselves read Eleanorzot section, or controlled section. And there is a big 3 on the door. Zervis kind of looks left and right, and then kind of like looks back at you, Theo, kind of like, and for a penny, and opens the door. There is something of, you can almost feel like a pressure field almost as the door opens, and it kind of expands outward, and you guys kind of feel it almost envelop you momentarily. Whatever it might have been looking for, it doesn't find, so it kind of recedes, and you guys are able to walk through. You find yourself in a very comfortable, almost cozy sort of, I guess, smaller library, like the Russian nesting dolls of libraries, I guess. Inside the big library is a smaller, more comfortable library.
Smaller.
It's libraries all the way down.
There are 2 libraries inside of you.
And they're both boys and they're kissing.
They're kissing.
The within this controlled section area, there are, again, a variety of different bookshelves. There's a large chandelier hanging from the top of the ceiling, and a variety of different like small pods and desks and things sort of set about. Zervis looks at all of you and it's like, the most I can give you is about an hour, maybe 2. So, normal closing hours are about 9 o'clock for the library. I will have to remove you at 8.
Thank you.
Upon hearing this, Finn like perks up, and he's just like immediately just like starts going. Yes, he's like,
it's like forbidden books, forbidden knowledge, must have
best of luck, and please give my regards to her generalship. And he kind of closes the door. And before he closes the door, he's like, I don't think I need to remind you, but do not attempt to remove anything. Any notes you need to take, there is paper and pen provided. Anything that is removed, well, you won't enjoy it. And
We will find you.
And he closes the door and leaves. You guys within this within the controlled section.
I love the spooky music.
So, what would you guys like to do?
Theo immediately grabs like paper and pen and all that stuff. Take, along with her as she.
All right.
Finian's like,
Finn's kind of gonna take the advantage of the fact that this is more of like a controlled forbidden area, and is like, as much as he wants, he's not highly hopeful about finding too much, because like, why would they restrict history as much? At least that's what he's thinking, because he's naive.
Aww.
But
That's so
why
precious
would
of
they not
him.
tell people things?
So
That
precious.
just seems dumb. But he's actually gonna go try to see if he can't learn more about just inventions, art, like anything he can learn about the shit that he does. Like, he's like, ooh, this is my chance to learn more about building, artificery, like anything he can learn about that. I don't know if that'll give him any kind of
Okay.
bonuses to helping him make anything in the future or anything like that, but that's what he wants knowledge on. He's like, I'm gonna go learn about artificery or things of that nature. Science.
All right.
Nerd.
Nerd.
So that is what Finian is looking for. Felix and Theo, what do you guys want to look for, perhaps?
Do you want to start, Hannah?
Sure. Theo is going to be looking for any of the dragon books, like the the one where we had managed to. We still have technically all those items, right? She was not home for us to return them. Was that the case? We still have.
You still have the chest of the
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I do know that, but like the pages, we were able to find the pages of that book that were from.
I don't believe you would ever turn those over.
Yeah, because I don't think when we got there, she was gone.
Palindrome was already the palindrome and cat were already gone.
Yeah, I have the book of the pages of the 4th volume of the Book of Chromatis. She's gonna be looking for any new volumes of the books of Chromatis that she hasn't read before to see if they're here. Or any papers.
Well, I'll save you time on that one. You already are aware that the only volumes that have ever been discovered are the first 3. Those are the only ones that were ever been found. So that's why finding these pages that are clearly from the 4th volume are such a big deal. Yeah. And you're aware of the fact, because like your mother has also told you this, even in the highest echelons of like controlled research sections that she has been able to be in, if they exist, they are in private hands, not public.
Well, I'm also just in general going to be looking for any new volumes of draconic history or magic that are clearly things that I have not read.
Okay.
Because again, and then also on top of that, she's going to be sort of scanning, and also besides like learning more about the Wormspeaker Fortress and how to get in. Scanning for stuff about things being trapped in bones, or just spirits, entities, all that.
This is more in relation to the temple you guys were doing earlier?
No. Actually, before she starts, she's gonna like just be in the middle of the room. She's not, and she's doing this in her head. She's not saying this out loud. Bargash.
Yes.
Is that his voice?
It is now, bitch.
We've talked to him before. He had a deep, more grumbly voice, but all right. Well, you were the DM. I was like confused for a second. I was like,
I honestly don't remember what the voice I had done for him was.
Because I was like, that's Strahd, baby.
Yeah. No, he responds, yes.
Can you sense anything in this room about you?
No. This is worldly knowledge, not otherworldly. Or at least nothing that obvious. I think you'd have to go deeper.
What good is the fucking controlled section if it doesn't even have... Thank you, Bargash. I'm sorry for not talking more often.
Things get in the way. I'm always here.
Thank you for your help recently. I've been better at controlling it.
Well, if you die, I die too. Can't have that happening.
All right, she's gonna go seek out her books.
All right, and then Felix, what are you looking for?
I think he's gonna spend a decent portion just like standing in the middle of this room and just kind of like blankly staring of like, what the fuck am I doing in here of all people?
Felix can't read. Felix can't read. The restricted picture books are in the corner.
Get fucked.
It's just porn.
It's just
We already had the joke about the fantasy Kama Sutra in the last campaign. We can't do that again.
This is true.
Fantasy Karma Sutra. Look.
Shut the fuck up. You made me lose my train of thought.
Sorry, you're standing in the middle of the room doing nothing.
Bitch. God, the problem is I don't know where to start because he wouldn't know where to start.
I mean, you could just do a general. You just do a general roll for like if you're just looking to find like. I guess are you looking for specific information about your own situation? Or are you looking for something historical to the situation?
It's gonna be my shit that I care about.
Okay.
But the everyman didn't exactly give me enough information to like go in a good direction with like where to start looking. So.
All right, well, that's enough to kind of work off of. We'll say let's get investigation checks from everybody, please.
I missed my high intelligence.
Get wrecked.
I'm Nepo baby.
God damn it! I rolled low.
What? Alex rolling low?
I rolled a 4, but I just mean 11.
Okay.
I got a 21.
21.
I got an 18.
I got a rock.
I got a rock. I was looking for my thing. I was like, okay, 18, that's good. Right. Plus
18.
0. I missed my high investigation.
We'll start with Finn. Finian, you find a very gorgeous looking, it almost looks like an autobiography. There's like, it's brown leather with like silver and gold gilding on it. The title is My Journey Through Time with Only an Abacus by Wallace Clockfree. And as you kind of like flip through it, it's clearly an autobiographical, almost like a journal of a gnome scientist artificer. And the claim of it is he has traveled through time and has been an eyewitness to a variety of events that have occurred throughout the history of the world. But the big thing with this book is that it's all focused on minor details. So while one chapter is titled And Then the Sky Fell, which is the chapter about the actual meteor, the world breaker, coming in to set the world as is now, the entire chapter is, for 90% of it, is spent on a particular rock formation at the base of the mountain of the world sea that he is obsessed with, and it is only because the meteor darkens the sky and has killed his light he looks up and notices, and then the last 4 lines of the chapter are, and then the gods sent death from above and I beat a hasty retreat, and he then like warps himself away from that. But so it's incredibly esoteric. It's incredibly, it's narratively jarring. It goes from first person to third person to somehow second person in random locations.
Like reading the Game of Thrones books.
Yeah, it's
second person. You go over here.
and there's almost a choose your own adventure nature to it. Like there are multiple points where it's like for additional information, jump to page 275, and you jump to page 275, and in the middle of the chapter on a battle during the Dragon War, he goes into in-depth detail about a particular fungus he was researching at the time, and then continues like his same train of thought from 4 chapters prior. As you read it more and more and more, you kind of like, because you have an engineer's mind, obviously, so it's like you're kind of be able to pick out bits and pieces of like, okay, it's like, so here's like, so and you finally kind of figure out roughly, like very roughly, that a lot of this is coded. You don't know how it's coded, but you can kind of sense, but based on not only from your own teacher's writings but also like instructions that you were given, like when you kind of make a discovery or like when you do something big, you don't really know what that is quite yet. So it's best to protect how you did it as much as possible to prevent that from falling into the wrong hands. So you're able to kind of subsection out bits and pieces of the book. It's like, okay, so this seems like actual engineering notes, and this seems like it might just be metaphor for something. And so like you're kind of like starting to parse out what the book may or may not be. We will come back to you on that one. Theo, you are able to find it's a very old and battered leather book. Almost looks like it was burned with how kind of battered it was, but it is a very old journal, and it looks like it's a research journal from an elvish researcher who studied dragon eggs. And as you kind of read through it and like sort of look through it and make discoveries on it, it talks a lot about the stages of dragon eggs, how they are hatched, how they are born, all of like this very like the most in-depth you have ever read about the processing, the growth, the hatching of dragon eggs, and like the idea of these different phases that they find themselves in. We'll return to you momentarily as well. And finally, Felix, you...
Wow, did you blank on my name that hard?
No, it's like I was looking at the thing. I was looking at the list of books that I had, and then like was about to start reading it before I had addressed you, and then like my brain shut off momentarily.
I will say I am excited to learn why Finian's book is here in the restricted section. Why this man's wild ass freaking tale of, oh yeah, I totally did that. That was so me. If only I'd been there, I would have known the counter charm to have saved them.
Mm-hmm.
They were worried that it would be too stupid for the general public. They're like, this will make people dumber.
Yeah, so I'm very intrigued to find out why this book in particular.
And then the book you find, Felix, is called The Death of the Twins. This book is a first-hand account, and this is interesting because there exists a book already called The Death of the Twins, and it's called the book that is available to everyone in the public. And Theo, you have even read this book. It's called The Death of the Twins: A History of Birth, Death, and Rebirth, which it basically tells the myth, the mythos of Metalis and Chroma and how they grew, how they became. It's essentially kind of like almost it's a little bit of like, imagine like both a myth and a historical telling of the two first dragons, the mother and father of dragons. This one is very different. This is called it's just called The Death of the Twins, and as you open it, you realize it's a series of eyewitness accounts of the actual battles during the war, specifically the moment in time where both Metalis and Chroma were killed for the first time. There are first-hand accounts of soldiers. There are first-hand accounts of other dragon riders, which is very rare. And there is even
looking over shoulder. Can I see that?
and there are first-hand accounts of like powerful wizards, mages, and just kind of like almost like if you were doing like a documentary on the subject. It's almost like the documentary like script of like have you ever seen a talking head documentary where it's like a question is asked off camera and then you just get the response? It's that you're getting. I would like we'll go back to Finian. Finn, I would like you to please roll me just a intelligence check. This is as you're reading through the book.
Much better. 24.
24. The more and more you read through the book, the more and more you get that this is not an autobiography. It's an instruction manual. And it kind of finally clicks with you, just like, oh, this is why this is here. Because you start to finally like fit together bits and pieces, and what finally catches you is that you notate every page where it says jump from like page 2 to 45 and jump from 45 to 382, go back to 225, and so you meticulously copy each and every one of those pages and you lay them out together, and you finally notice that the words of each page, they form a schematic of some kind. And as you read through, and as you like kind of like lay out the schematic, you get this visual schematic of what appears to be almost like an 8-sided. If you could like take and make like a sphere, a sphere 8-sided, it's almost like a containment field of some kind. And then you finally figure out there's descriptions of.
You mean an octagon?
Yeah, like a 3-dimensional, a 3-dimensional octagon.
Octahedron.
Yeah, like an octahedral shape. And it's like a physical shape, and you kind of like figure out, it's like, okay, was this like the time machine? Was this the force he used to get through it? But it's like, so you kind of like you're roughing that out, and then as you're roughing that out, as you're kind of like working through bits and pieces, and like you're staring at that for a little while, and then you look over at GB. And you like kind of like look over and like look into his chest where like his like sort of power source is contained. You look back at the shape, look back at him, back at the shape, and you finally figure out, it's like, oh, this is a schematic for a power cell of some kind, some sort of way to contain or focus energy in some way, shape, or form, and that was somehow used in whatever he did for his time travel. Or what you assume to be his purported time travel. Theo, please roll me an intelligence check.
But I'm dumb.
I know.
Come on, Theo dice. Give me something nice. Give me dumb thing good. I have 15.
15? Okay, not bad. You're able. The problem with the book is that as you like flip to later pages, they're like stuck together and like there's charred bits and pieces. So like the book clearly was in a fire, so like bits of it are hard to discern.
Mm-hmm.
The major thing you're able to pull out of this, and this is new information for you because you've never really been able to access books on the actual birthing or hatching of dragons,
Mm-hmm.
is that the dragon eggs exist in 4 states. There is laying, which is they have just been laid. There is dormancy. There is active. There's activity, and then there is awaiting, is the term that is used.
Mm-hmm.
And so the 4 stages as described, there's the hatching, there's the laying stage where basically the egg is laid. It basically looks no different than like a rock, kind of dirty, dusty, muddy. Once it has been laid and has had time to sort of cure, it enters the dormant stage. And at that point it can the dormant stage is something that's kind of known to you because you've like seen like displays of dragon eggs and things like that. A dormant dragon egg can stay dormant for tens of thousands of years. It's assumed that there's lots of dormant dragon eggs still at the Wormspeaker Fortress, because but there's just no way to really activate them. No one's really figured that one out. The active stage is also known as the hatching. Basically, an active egg is in the process. The dragon within it has awoken and is actively trying to hatch itself. And then awaiting is the one that is new to you. And awaiting, it's described very poetically and flowery. There's a line in there that strikes you. It's like, not unlike a lover awaiting the return of their beloved on a cliffside from war, a dragon egg awaits its proper. A dragon awaits its other half in the mortal world. But unfortunately, the actual descriptions and the process of awaiting is really in that burn section of the book, and you're not really, unfortunately, able to like really discern too much of it. Especially the description of what does an awaiting stage look like, what is involved, but it gives you at least kind of have a starting point of just like, okay, so there is because laying, dormancy, and hatching and activity, those have been known quantities. You've read about those in small bits and bobs here and there. The awaiting stage is new to you in terms of your draconic knowledge.
So kind of like, can she, with this thought, can she make the assumption that this is kind of how dragon riders come to be, that the egg is awaiting the dragon rider?
Possibly. Like again,
you can make that assumption.
You can
okay.
Make
that okay. Well, I'm going to make that assumption.
You can make that assumption.
I'm going to make that assumption on her behalf.
Yes. Felix, please roll me just a straight intelligence check or a gay intelligence check if it is pride.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We won't limit your intelligence checks.
Int 17.
17. You keep reading through the book. There's fascinating bits and pieces of it. Again, it's very fascinating history. Nothing that really jumps out at you in terms of my
shit.
Well, in terms of necessarily what you're looking for, unfortunately, but you are struck by a single theme that sort of runs through a lot of first-hand accounts with the death of the twins. And the death of the twins is a very well-reported, very well-known moment in history. It's basically the story that everyone has been told is that at the same moment, in the same breath, both Metalis and Chroma were struck dead by the forces of each opposing side. They both fell to the ground and exhaled their last breath at the same moment. Very poetic, very flowery. The hubris of going to war against your own kind, etc., etc. And as you're reading through all this, it's like, okay, yeah, you're getting the bits and bobs. It's like, okay, yeah, there's the forces of the cult surrounding Metalis. There's the forces of there's the worm speakers. They're trying to mad rush Chroma. Like, okay, all things you recognize. And then you're struck by a singular firsthand account from a young mage on the ground at Chroma's death. And it's the only account that strikes you as different because it's the only time that a black bolt of lightning is mentioned. And the stories all talk about a thunder, like a mournful thunderclap as both of them died. But it's like from splitting, and it's described as splitting the sky almost like an arrow, cutting through a small animal. A black bolt of lightning came and struck Chroma in their heart. And from where they were struck, a strange black pulsing could be seen. And then as soon as that occurred, it vanished.
I would like this book, please.
No, get fucked.
Felix found the book I was looking for.
Nope, get fucked.
Why are you so mean to me?
Why are you so mean to me?
I'm never mean to you. I'm always very nice to you.
Hannah is.
Oh,
Theo's not very nice.
Theo is a delight. She's just a bitch.
Now that you've done this, you kind of scroll back through the book a little bit, Felix, and then you like find another. You're like looking for, now that you've kind of spotted something that's out of the historical record. So you kind of keep flipping back through the book, and you find another moment, a interrogation report from one of the surviving cult members that was done, and they describe a similar thing happening to Metalis as well. This thunderclap and this black lightning striking them. When the bodies are examined, there's no reports of any aftermath or any lingering touch, but both bodies are described as having a smell of decay of a body that had been dead much longer than they actually were.
I'm sure that's not ominous.
I will say at this point, about an hour of your time has passed. If you'd like, you can kind of reconnect and regather, see if any of your books have information that is useful to each other.
Theo is going to bring her book to the smarter people.
Can I get that recorded? To have her admitting
it is recorded.
The other two are smarter?
You have pluses to your intelligences, and I do not. Theo is going to request assistance in potentially delicately separating some of the pages. I've been trying to read this one. I'm struggling with getting more information out of it because the page is being burned. Would either of you be able to assist, or
page is being burnt?
It's a journal. It looks like it was in a fire or something. But some of the pages are stuck together, and I don't know. Maybe one of you two would have better luck.
I don't think prestidigitation can handle this, because that's all I got.
I'm gonna roll a check real quick, and you tell me if
just roll. So both Finian and Felix, please roll me intelligence checks.
22.
3.
3.
I come to you for help.
Felix, you're kind of still just like, huh? Like,
I'm afraid my very interesting chicken soup for the Dragon Rider soul.
Finn's like, oh, that's simple. You know, it happens all the time. And Professor Meyer, he is always blowing things up. So like his notes and stuff would always get stuck together. No, you just use this little compound and it'll bring it right apart. And he goes into his like toolkit and he gets out like some swatches, like some
What'd you roll?
a 22.
Oh.
And he gets out some chemicals and like some like sponges and he starts like brushing it onto the paper to like
We're just gonna start touching.
Yes.
Put compound on this very rare, very old book.
What he does
at least he thinks he knows what he's doing. He's confident he knows what he's doing. But
I'll say you're smart enough to kind of realize what it was. Please roll me a. Let's see. We'll call this roll me a Tinker Tool check. So this is going to be Dex plus proficiency. So D20
turns to dust.
D20 plus 6.
Theo
Felix is
like
apathetic. Morgan, the chemist, is horrified.
Theo is like.
I just saw that roll.
Yeah. Well, plus
Did you destroy the book?
No, I don't think so.
So 8 plus 6.
I want us to give Alex back his dice. Let's give Alex. Alex needs dice in his hand again. We're giving Alex back his dice.
I'm gonna say the average cleaning solvent that you would use to like try to unstick things. It's just gonna make that ink smear.
So it was an 8. So it was an 8 plus what, Alex? 8 plus 6? 14. Okay, you're able to kind of clear it up a little bit. It's not as clean as you would like it to be. You don't destroy anything.
Oh my god. Morgan looks almost disappointed.
I don't want it to happen.
Felix wants chaos.
The bit that you're able to discover is that awaiting when a dragon egg enters awaiting, that is the point where it chooses its rider.
I was right.
And awaiting is a binary state, so that it can only occur under certain circumstances, but unfortunately you're not able to kind of clear up or clean up what those circumstances mean.
Do we
or what is required for those circumstances?
Did he reveal what awaiting looks like?
Unfortunately, no. The book would require much more work, and probably now at this point, because you didn't damage the book, but it's also like not a professional grade cleaning space. You would need to find a way to take this book with you and take it to a professional area to be able to actually have a chance of fixing it at this point.
I'm not smart enough to lie about it. And I don't want them to come kill me.
All right.
I'd prefer that also, please.
So that is Theo's book. What about the rest of you? Are you is anyone else in a knowledge sharing mood?
I don't think anybody else would understand what I just found.
Well, yours
if I did start explaining it, but he wouldn't know how to rudimentary explain it. He's explaining
Well, it's also because bits and pieces of your book, Finn, also tie into the other books, because because obviously there's the coded bits that you've kind of sussed out, but other bits of it, there's an entire chapter on. So there's a chapter called it's on the death of the twins. The chapter in your book by Mr. Clockfree is called "Two Big Lizards Died. It was sad."
A big lizard died. It was sad.
Nice.
And so like there's a bit of crossover in terms of each of the books individually. So it just depends on what you guys want to share with each other.
Oh,
because like yours is the most interesting, Finn, just simply because it's both a historical record and a coded instruction to only people who know how to look for this. So it's a weird little book.
It's like
well,
the
I don't know
Gravity
what
Falls
to
books.
share though. Like, would he even know what like would be important to somebody else? Because they haven't really, Theo hasn't really been sharing what they were looking for.
Y'all don't talk to each other. That's y'all's fault.
Exactly. Here I am, bearing my heart and sharing my book with you out of the goodness of my soul. But I don't know.
I'll roll a.
And some of us are just, I guess, tagging along, and they haven't figured out why their character is even hanging out with the rest of us.
I'm gonna roll an intelligence check to see if I understand.
We ain't friends.
Or if I put two and two together. That like, oh, she's looking at dragon stuff. Oh, there's some dragon stuff in my book.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that Theo's looking for dragon shit. Because
Theo's never tried to hide that she's looking for dragon shit.
And again, it's like, and since you were the one who helped Theo with it, like you were like, oh, this is a book on dragon stuff. It's like, oh, there's bits and pieces of dragon shit in my book. Like, maybe there's a connection there. Who knows?
I can't believe Theo is stronger than the original dragons.
What?
What?
So,
Black pulsing?
Are you looking for more stuff about dragons?
I don't know what you think about being stronger implies with that.
I'm not dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the black pulsing didn't kill them. It just happened.
You don't know that. Yes, I am. Yes, I am looking for any information on the dragons, especially back here. I've never been back here. I've been up and down the aisles. Out there,
well, my book's a bit cryptic. There's some stuff in here I don't think really anybody other than someone who does what I do would probably understand. But there is a chapter on the death of the two. It describes the. I swear, some scientific people do not have
the two big lizards.
Imagination. Yeah, it does state the two big lizards die, and it was sad. It's kind of insensitive, I guess I would say.
But it's insensitive to like the point of almost because like everyone in the world has at least some amount of respect for like Metalis and Metallic the dragons, because like they are the closest thing to gods on earth that you guys ever experienced, and like they walked about, they helped people, they like, you know, like there's many stories of Metalis like saving towns from dragon attacks from like during the war and things like that. So it's like, it is kind of just like, it's like, you are an asshole. Like the dude who wrote this is a dick.
So I don't know. I kind of skimmed over because I was mainly looking for. There was an encoded message in this, and I think I found some really interesting stuff. But hey, you're welcome to look at it. I'm going to be looking at this, and he kind of like goes back over to his like notes, and he's still trying to like put together the power source or whatever the hell this thing is. He's still trying to figure that out, I guess.
Do we still have the time to look for at least one more book?
I thought we were like out of time.
We have 2 hours.
You could try to look for another book. There's no guarantee it would be helpful though. If you'd like, you can roll me an intelligence or investigation check on my journey through time with only an abacus, if you'd like. All as right. Well.
I'll roll for that. I'm gonna use new dice. Come on. 19.
19. You read through it and you're more well versed because a lot of dragon history is very old, esoteric, written in really heavy-handed metaphor because of just how much destruction the war brought. You're a lot more used to reading something like this, and you're a lot more used to reading through like really purposefully obtuse notes. And a big thing that you are able to kind of discern is that every time that like he mentions a historical event, it's always very jarring and out of nowhere. So like at no point, like, so like it's like a 30 chapter book. And at no point at the start of a chapter do you know at what point in time he is at. It's only revealed like midway through or in some train of thought thing at the end. And as you kind of read through each of these chapters, and it's like, okay, you go and you go and you go, you realize that the end of each chapter, or like you realize that the time, the moment where it's like it's revealed, it's like, oh, okay, so this is at the foundation of the worm speakers. Okay, this is at the first egg breaking. Okay, this is the first false piece. Okay, he was at the point where the world breaker came down. It's like, okay, you realize that all of these moments seem to be his jump points. So like a thing happens, and then he is forcibly seems to be yanked through time.
I have been forcibly removed from the timeline.
You've been forcibly removed from the timeline.
Dick out.
But the biggest thing that strikes you is the most lucid chapter that reads like a normal book. Everything else is like a string of research notes and commentary on flora and fauna. But the most lucid chapter that strikes you is it's called The World's First Curse. And it goes on to describe it's the chapter about the world breaker. And it talks about as he was doing research on the world seed, he discovered that the mountain in which the world seed was kind of set within was starting to crumble and was almost aging in a way that, you know, a mountain really shouldn't. And there was this strange aura or magical energy about it that was almost like eating away at the stone or eating away at the world seed entirely. And the theory he comes up with is that because in all of his research that he has kind of like laid out, and like what you kind of roughed out in the research, is that there's this idea of the two sides of a coin. There, for heads there must be tails, and those two forces act opposite, but without each other they cannot exist. Without Metalis you cannot have Chroma. Without light you cannot have dark. And in terms of the world seed, which is the source of all magic, without magical energy, like with magical energy you must also have the negative. You must have, with magical blessing you must have a curse. And it's this, and and you're like kind of reading through it, and it's like okay, that kind of makes sense. That's like, yin and yang, I guess I kind of understand that. And then unfortunately the chapter ends, it's like, and then you reach the end of the chapter, and it's like, and then a giant rock was sent by the gods and interrupted my very important research, and he was ripped forward in time to the founding of the worm speakers. But it's this idea that, but I guess roll me an Arcana check, Miss Theo.
Do I have plus my Arcana? Probably not.
I don't know.
Let's find out. Let me look at my thing. I have +2 to Arcana, actually.
Hey, there you go.
Look at me.
Look at you. Something intelligence based that you can actually have a positive to.
16.
That's total?
Yeah.
Okay. Your mother always made you study basics of magic, fundamentals of magic, and so you're kind of like mulling over this in your head. You look over at Finian, you look over at Felix, you look at GB, and it's like you're kind of like trying to like do some like rough like work in your head, and you think you work out. It's almost at the tip of your tongue, like on the tip of your tongue. It's like, okay, so if the world seed, and by that very nature, like after Myria, which is the remnants of that, if that is pure magical essence, then there must also exist somewhere a pure essence of curse or evil. Something physicalizing the negative, for lack of a better word, nega magic. The complete opposite of magical energy. And kind of like you're kind of like working that out in your head, and you look at it, it's like, okay, so okay, for light there must be dark, for good there must be evil, for magic there must be nothing. So what is that nothing?
Opposite of magic. I don't know. She's like taking her little notes.
Do you say that out loud?
Yeah, she mumbles the opposite of magic.
Well, I would say the opposite of magic would be taking something away from someone. Magic is a boon. To take the boon away would be an absence thereof. Personally.
You talk to some people, magic can be a bit of a curse, so I wouldn't say it's only a boon.
I would say boon in the sense of you are putting something into creation that wasn't there before. Taking something out of creation could be your opposite.
Felix and Finian, please roll me Arcana checks.
$17.
Hey, both of you got a 17. Since both of you are more magically inclined, the first lesson you were taught with magic is that magic is at its core magic at its core is kind of creation and creativity, and the idea of it being is that while it can be used for bad things, magic is to bless. Like magic is to bless as something is to something else. If you remember those SAT questions.
So I was right, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So magic is at its core what it should be used for, how it was intended for was to create and bless and be beneficial.
So the opposite of magic is a curse.
Essentially.
Yay.
But the biggest thing for
you
you,
need a
Theo,
private room to get that stick out of your ass? I'm pretty sure they have a bathroom.
Theo, the biggest thing that you're able to kind of pull from all of this, though, is now that like all of these sort of like thoughts are kind of
Why would one put a stick in one's
flowing.
arse?
I don't know. Ask Felix. Seems to stick one up there every morning, apparently.
What you're basically able to pull, Theo, is that like just as after Miria represents a physical, like there's a physical thing that represents creation and magic, there also must exist a physical representation of curse and destruction.
All right.
The one phrase, and you would also have noticed this, Finn, as you're reading through Wallace's journal. We'll call it a journal. Through Wallace's journal there's always been one phrase that he always comes back to, which is two sides of a coin. Or two sides of the same coin. It's like an anchor phrase almost. He always comes back to it. Whenever like he seems on the cusp of a discovery or something like that, that always sort of kind of catches your eye. There's always like this anchor phrase for just like two sides of the same coin. And then he almost always immediately goes into something entirely differently afterwards.
So in a sense, we could both be kind of right in the fact that, yes, magic is... it's a blessing, but it could also be its own opposite in a way. Because you have to have something to counterbalance it. So the opposite of magic is almost like it's.
You could use both sides of that coin and still call it magic in its own way.
Like it's both magic, and like it both something to counteract. The opposite of magic could still also be magic. It's just a different kind of magic, maybe. Like some people say a curse, like if you like a curse is just another form of magic, but if curse is kind of like is it just the same? Like magic is magic, but the opposite of magic is just the opposite use of magic. Like the general use of magic is to create, to give, to express in a positive way. It's just but another way to use magic is to do the opposite. Maybe it's just like it says in this book. He says it all the time. It's two sides of the same coin. Maybe it's the same thing. It's just the opposite way of using it. If that.
No, it
not
makes
the
sense.
sword, but the hand that it's in.
Theodosia kind of is eyeballing Felix. Every man uses that same word, or rather phrase, with you.
What's that supposed to mean?
What was it that you wanted from every man again?
There was something taken from me, and I'm trying to get it back.
Taken? Like... cursed?
I suppose one could say that.
Wait, so you are cursed, or you're trying to get a curse back? I'm confused.
I was cursed.
Why would you want a curse?
I don't. I would very much like the curse to go away, actually.
Oh, so you're trying to... So why are you... So wait, what are you trying to find, then?
Everman said something about before.
Also, Theo, you got a weird... Like, why do you sound like you're, like, interrogating them? Like, it doesn't...
I just find it interesting.
I thought we were all friends here.
Right.
The face Anna made when I said that.
Felix, yes. Felix is the one that thinks we're all friends here. Yes, quite. I just found it interesting.
If you're going to accuse me of something nefarious, you can just put it on the table.
What was taken from you?
Someone very important to me.
Insight check.
Okay. What's your plus to insight?
Horrible, +1.
Felix, roll a deception check.
Am I lying, though?
No. I don't think you are, judging by what my theory about Felix is. I don't think you're necessarily lying, but you are skirting around the truth.
You are skirting the truth enough that you would have that this is a deception check.
14.
You believe them.
Damn. All right.
I thought you weren't supposed to you weren't supposed to tell them the roll. You were supposed to roll both rolls, or you were supposed to like.
No, I just roll the insights, not the deception.
The other person rolls the deception, but
yeah.
Hannah doesn't know.
I don't know what I rolled, but apparently
the point is you guys don't know what your insight roll is, so you can't. So it's purely my choice of Felix rolled a 14. Say hypothetically, Theo rolled a 10. That's for me to decide how much you believe or not. So you believe them.
Yeah. So it could very well be like I rolled really close, but I still just believe them, which means that perhaps there wasn't too much to deceive anyway. Even though I'm pretty solid in my theory of what's going on with Felix. All right, she believes him. Anything to do with that wanted poster you'd grabbed the other day?
I just can't say no to a pretty face.
Pretty sure you said the same thing when I asked you about it before. Something along those lines.
It's almost like I said it both times, because it was true both times.
Yes, because I can trust you.
I don't think I've given you a reason not to trust me. We've watched each other's asses in combat quite a few times now. If I wanted you dead, I would have stabbed you already. Or, if I wanted you dead, I would have paid someone else to do it, because I can be folded like an omelet, and you look like you could do that.
Thank you.
It's both an insult to myself and a compliment to you.
Yes,
I am easily folded,
you did
and
it.
you
Ooh,
are
self-burn.
strong.
Those are rare.
Yes. I live in my truth. I am very pretty and so weak.
You're honest, I'll give you that. At least when it comes to this. Whatever. Did you find
Now,
anything
why would
interesting?
I have something to hide from you?
That's a great question. Did you find anything in your books?
Metalis and Chroma are dead. Did you know that? Were you aware that they had passed? Because I read a lot of people talking about 2 dragons dying.
Why would they just talk about that in a book that's kept back here? Everyone knows that. Did you just read it badly?
How does one read badly?
I don't know. You're the one apparently reading a book that's supposed to be kept a secret, and then all you've read apparently is they're dead.
It's a lot of people talking about seeing the dragons die.
Wait, what? It's what?
A lot of people talking about seeing the dragons die?
Like first-hand accounts?
Yeah.
Can I see that?
Shh, knock yourself out.
Do you know how rare it is to find first-hand accounts of the deaths of Chroma and Metalis? We have hardly any first-hand accounts. It's all flowery language.
That's pretty flowery too. Don't get your hopes up.
She's like flipping through this, like she's gone nuts.
You're
This
able
is the
to
book
read.
that she wanted.
Yeah, you're able to read through. You pick up on all the information that Felix had already read. The strange bolt of lightning, the smell of decay, and odd sense of the thing that strikes you most of all, Theo, is that there is in the moment of their death, obviously there is sadness and despair, and there's
Big lizards die and everyone's sad.
There's melancholy because again, you're watching at the end of a war to save the world these 2 creatures that were supposed to be the definition of sacrifice and service to the greater good couldn't live to see that better day. But one line repeats itself over and over again. And it is despair for a chance at a future. And that seems to be a theme that runs through a lot of these first-hand accounts, especially among any of the dragon riders that are sort of interviewed or giving their accounts. It is despair for the hope. It is despair for the hope of a future, as though the death of these 2 beings meant that whatever future could have been achieved is now dead, and whatever future comes out of it is now lesser.
So, wait, could you repeat that? What it means?
Despair for the hope of a future, and it's this idea that the future that Amoth, that this world had waiting for it, with the death of Chroma and Metalis, that future was destroyed and prevented from ever occurring. But more importantly, whatever future that now awaits Amoth, the future that you guys are now living through, is lesser for it. as though an opportunity that you never knew existed ceased to be.
Huh. She's like writing this down in her paperwork of notes.
The book ends, and both of you would have seen this. I guess I just remembered this because I was looking through my notes. The book, the Death of the Twins. The book ends with it's a one-page sort of letter. It is a one-page letter from Emperor Matthias Mercia, and he in the letter it's a thank you for all the people putting down their accounts. It thanks them for their service during the war and for saving the world and saving mortality. It ends with something that you have never read before, because much of, almost all of the first emperor's words are well recorded. This is the first time you've ever seen anything written in his hand that speaks of this, and it is a phrase. It's like, though dawn breaks on a better tomorrow, darkness has crept back to the corners of the world, and we must remain forever vigilant against these shadowy corners. May this book serve as a reminder and a warning against this darkness.
Okay.
While she's looking at that,
Anyway,
Finn looks over at. No, we don't know what she's pulling out of this book, so we don't actually, unless she chooses to share this information. But looks over at Felix and he's like, "So, do you want to know what I found?"
Yes. I cannot wait to hear what you found.
And so he goes, "So, apparently this person traveling through time may actually have still been traveling through time, but it's also a coded message about how to make some sort of that only someone who's actually gone to college or knows how to take these kind of notes would be able to find. So like that's kind of cool. But if I'm figuring this all out correctly, it's some sort of power source, like either to run whatever time machine he's using, or to just run machinery in general, which we don't really have other than like magic. Like we don't have a way to power something unless you have mages or something to infuse power into it. So it's like if you really think about it, like the implications are kind of like mind-blowing, and this is just, and he just starts like kind of like at that point like kind
Felix
of freaking out.
cannot follow fuck all of what he is talking about. Felix is just like, sure. Yes, I follow.
Finn found the perpetual
I
motion
didn't
machine.
go to college.
Finn found the perpetual motion machine, and it's not bullshit this time. I will say with all of that, you guys hear a soft chime of 8 bongs as your 2 hours have elapsed. The doors behind you open, and Zervis re-enters, looks at all of you, nods, and it's like, well, less cleanup is needed than last time. And the books all close in front of you. Your notes all magically sort of like organize themselves and kind of bundle themselves up and kind of all fly to your person. It's like, well, I hope you were able to find what you were looking for. But we have spent too much time than I had the ability to hide here. So a hasty retreat, yeah.
Thank you, Zervis, for your service.
And
Thank you very much for your assistance.
I'm so proud of myself.
He leads you guys out of the Royal Arcanum, and he He, as you were all leaving, Finn and Felix, as you kind of walk out the door, Zervis stops you, Theo, and kind of grabs you by the arm, turns you around. It's like, don't ever do that again.
Whatever do you mean?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, and so does your mother. On your way.
She nods and leaves.
You are able to make your way back to the dancing elf. You arrive back. There's a bard playing on stage. There's food and wine to be had. You guys decide to stop and eat, or you head back to your room first?
Let's eat.
Oh, Finn's so eating.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on now.
I guess she will stop to eat.
Okay. The food is a delicious beef, potato, and leek stew. There is additional, this one is more softer bread, like more of a French style loaf. There are roast potatoes as a side dish as well, along with a big, like, sort of like beef leg that you can just kind of carve some slices off of, as well as several small salads and what looks to be like almost like a baked vegetable pie that's full of carrots and celery, onions, as well as parsnips. There is jugs of ale. There's some mulled wine that is also available, and it is hearty and it is delicious, and a lovely evening of food and revelry passes without much incident.
Except for one incident.
Finn can literally just not shut up. He's just like talking out loud, like still trying to like talk to Felix the whole time. And if Felix hasn't told him to shut up, he's just like trying to explain like the implications, and he's just like going off. He's info dumping on you.
Like
he has a new hyper focus, and you get to hear all about it.
The ADHD
Felix is holding a glass of wine,
over.
just like, yeah, sweetheart, sounds great.
Are you winning, son?
Are you winning, son?
Felix, roll me an Arcana check through all of this, please.
You were cursed by the power cell.
I've been burdened by knowledge. Arcana, you said?
Mm-hmm.
17.
17. You are... Actually, no, I realized Arcana was wrong now that I've thought about it. But that's just intelligence. So what would an intelligence of the same thing be?
16.
16, okay. As you hear Finian say two sides of the same coin for maybe like the 19th time in the last hour, something finally strikes you. And you pull out, did you take, I guess my question would be, would you have taken any notes on the book, on the Time Traveler's book?
I didn't say that I grabbed it, so I have a feeling I should stick with I probably didn't.
Okay. You're struck by, because Finn has been talking nonstop about like, no, it's like coded messages and like secrets hidden among secrets and things, and it's like, and then he says the word, it's like, yeah, it's like anchor phrases over and over again. And then that finally catches like two sides of the same coin. And that was repeated a lot. And it strikes you momentarily. What if two sides of the same coin wasn't an anchor phrase, but God, I'm now blanking on this effing word. It's the map marker that leads you through the secret path to get where you need to go.
I share that revelation with the table.
Finn like stops talking and was like eating something, and then just like,
Secret passage to where?
it's a secret passage, as in we have to go back. We have to go back.
We can't. I can't. We
But
got
that means
in
there's a
on
whole
a
piece missing.
technicality.
There's more. We have to go back.
Wait, what do you think? Do you think that it's saying that there's more to be read? Where? Is it trying to imply that there's a secret passage in...
No, it's not like a secret passage. It's in like a place you can go. It's a secret. It's a secret. So
Like a
it's
passage
like
in a book?
It's almost kind of like a like a coded message. Like there's more. That's there. It was deeper. It was deeper than I saw. That there's. It's
Roll
what
me
what I deciphered. That means that there's more to be deciphered.
Roll a wisdom check, Theo, because you had kind of sort of sussed this out a little bit when you were reading through a bit of the book.
Straight wisdom?
Yep.
14?
You remember how every single, like whenever you were reading through the book, it was like, oh, this is weird. It's like he makes a point and then jumps entirely to a fucking different point, and then like 100 page later he'll re-pick back up on that point. What the fuck is like it's again like the choose your own adventure-ness of this book. And then it kind of like there's like a little snap sound that goes off in your brain. Two sides of the same coin. Every single time that it would make a jump, it would end with that phrase, and it would pick up with that phrase later in the book.
But how? Was there a different way to read it? If
That's the guide that So there, whatever I found was able to help me find the thing I was looking for. Not that I was looking for, but I just happened to find. So either there's another hidden message in the book. That's what I'm trying to say, and that's what it means. Like
from each jump of when he uses the phrase.
Yes, that's almost like a, like they have a key or a way to decipher
thing.
something. It's
Yes.
like that, but it's telling you where to go to find the pattern.
I can't get us back in. I was only able to do that once. I can't get us in again.
I mean, we saw how to get in, right?
Son, how much legal trouble have you been in over the years? Because I'm starting to think that there's a lot of things in your past. I don't really want to go
I would
to
have you
jail.
know that I've never been in trouble.
You've
Other
never
than
asked.
Evercrown. That was the first.
That was, yeah.
That was your first time.
I don't think you understand how
That was his first time being in
groundbreaking this
jail,
could
huh?
be.
I do understand. I just
Well, if it's about what you're talking about, that it's about the end of the world, and that's the information we need to know. If it's about what I'm talking about, it could like revolutionize everything.
Trust me, I want to get back in. I literally can't. I don't have magic, and she like shakes her arm and her armor goes clank, 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 clank. I'm also very loud. That's Hannah's way of saying she has disadvantage on stealth.
I mean,
Theo has disadvantage on stealth. She would not be helpful in this. As much as she'd love to, she can only use the Nepo baby card once.
My brethren in Christ, I don't think this is a good plan for us.
There's no currently any plan.
We are so weak.
Well, then I get
Sneaking about.
Then we get in
is a
contact
bad
with
plan.
fucking.
Would
Then I call Myers. I have to get in touch with Myers, because he could get us back in. I just need the letter.
Or unless we keep doing work for the Everyman, and they get us in.
It's true. If we finish this mission, we could possibly get permission to get back in. Especially
It
since
sound like they were willing to throw more boons our way if we continue working for the Hand.
the books shouldn't be going anywhere. They'd said that there's...
Books tend not to.
Yes, and plus they said there's a massive, punishment or whatever. They implied it was a pretty bad punishment for trying to take them. So I don't imagine...
Trying to take anything, we're just...
No, I'm saying the book's not going anywhere because no one's going to steal it because they don't want to die.
Alright, fine.
Trust me, I would love to break in, but I jingle, can't.
I would love to not break in.
Well,
I don't want to go to jail.
In case the Hand doesn't get us in, I'm writing the letter anyway. And he starts...
Go for it.
Oh, only the head of the largest crime syndicate in the continent.
Oh my god.
I don't think he can get us into a library.
We won't split hairs.
He's not here to correct me, so I'm fine.
I love finding out where
some dark office, like 1,000 miles away, and he's like smoking a cigar. Something just happened.
I love finding out where Felix's lines are. Sometimes it feels like Felix is down
it's
to...
not a moral obligation. It's we will not succeed here.
I know,
I don't
but
want to go to
still,
prison.
I still love finding the lines because sometimes it seems like Felix goes and does something. It's like, oh, he could absolutely die doing this, but he's gonna go do it anyway. And then there's, I'm not breaking into a library to possibly die. I will not die.
Something could kill me. It's fine. I don't want to rot in prison.
I will not die for a book.
Yeah, I will not rot in prison for a book because you don't die there. Well, you might if you're there for a long time. That's a long time of doing fuck all. I'd rather get gored by something and die quickly if the option is between that and rotting away in jail. Fuck me, I guess.
Fuck me.
All right. I'll say you guys wrap up your dinner. Finn, you quickly, you get some pen and paper from Martha, and you write out a letter, give it to her to send out. She will mail it for you when mail is left in the morn. Is there anything in particular you include in the letter itself?
Hi, Science Dad. Please get me into the library.
Science Daddy,
Finn.
I need to be in the secret room.
I encrypt in a code that I assume that I would understand how he writes his notes because I've, worked with him long enough. Into the letter that would kind of give him an idea of why and kind of what I found a little bit of it. Like
you're able to roughly encode the magnitude of the discovery you have made and kind of like where it could go. That's not difficult at all.
Yeah. In case he needed any incentive to get me back in there, and he's not just like, you should be doing other things. It's like, no, I should be doing this. Like,
no, Dad, this is really important.
Come on, Science Dad. Like,
do you guys head back to your rooms?
Yeah.
Or are you guys still hang out? Are you gonna hang out in the evening?
Nah, my bones are broken. I'll turn in.
You need the long rest.
Yeah.
All right. You guys arrive back to your shared room. And you notice that the door is slightly off one of its hinges.
Right.
Great. So you push the door open. Nothing seems all that disturbed, but which one of you had the chest of the dragon gems?
Heyo.
Yeah. I have it. It stays on my person at all times. I keep it in like a little literally like a little strap backpack. Like it's not in a backpack, but it's almost like the box.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to describe it, but it's essentially that leather straps have been wrapped around it, turning it almost like it's a backpack that I keep on my back at all times.
Okay. That answers my first question. Finian and Felix, your areas of the room have been untouched. Theo, your bed, underneath your bed, several floorboards have been pulled up beneath your bed, has been ravaged. Someone was in here looking for something. that apparently only you carry. And that is where we will end our session for today.
Fuck.
Thank you all so much for joining us for another episode of Dances with Dice. Please follow us on all of our social media channels at Dances with Dice. And when you use the hashtag DWDcast or DWDart, we will use you as a named NPC in the show. For example, Wallace comes from Wally, our good friend of the show. He's the author of a very important book on time travel and sad dragons, it seems.
Wally, goddammit.
Thank you all so much
Goddammit,
for
Wally.
joining us for another episode of Dances with Dice, and join us every single Tuesday for more episodes. Okay.
Thank God, I've had to pee